The fact is the middle is gone. And I think that's good news. I think it's great news for our market, for our members. I think it's good news that you can no longer skate by. You can no longer be an average agent that's just getting by, closing to closing, check to check. You're either making a ton or you're starving to death. We got to decide which side of the pendulum we're going to be on here. But the one thing we do every year, which I think is going to work better this year, we're going to talk a little bit about it today. I think it's going to work a little better this year than it has before, is we really start to help a lot of agents in getting rid of all debts, paying down their debts to zero so they can build a net worth. I don't want anybody left behind. I don't want agents out there crushing it and making tons of money while other agents are playing around on the freaking internet. Like they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They've literally, so far today, they've already put in a load of laundry, done some dishes, messing around at the house. They aren't even working. That's the reason we have to get people back in the offices in America because they're doing other shit. They're not doing what they're supposed to do to be productive. It feels productive because it's household stuff, but it's not money stuff. If you worked for me and you were doing that, you'd already been fired today, right? And we do that every day. You will never feel more free than you will feel if you get everything completely paid off and you're like, okay, I got this extra money. Where do I put this? Where should I invest? What should I do with this? I don't know where to put the money. I usually put it towards debts, but that's all gone now. I paid off my car, paid off my house, paid off my credit card, paid off the IRS finally. Whatever it is, make that thing go away so that the problem you have is you had to make a whole bunch of money to make that happen. Well, now you know what it takes to make a whole bunch of money. So you keep doing that. You've really turned up the thermostat on how much money you need to make every month. And sure enough, it was bringing the heat. You've paid everything off. You have another 30, 40, $50,000 a month. What do I do with this money now? That's a good position to be in. How many of you would love to be in that position this year, 5, 6 years after COVID? You would like to finally be completely recovered and in the right position for yourself. Play a little game with yourself that you've got this written down. You've got a goal. You've got a game plan for what you're trying to build for yourself so that you can take advantage of there's money to be made right now. I do believe over the next couple of years, we're going to have certain times where if you got a little cash behind you, you're going to make a boatload of money. We know that happens, when the foreclosures kick up and those types of things. If you got a little money and a little credit behind you and you don't have a bad debt to income ratio and all of that, you can make huge money in short bursts. So I'd love for everybody to be doing that. We got so many agents. I see every week, at least once a week, I hear agents say, Greg, I just want to let you know I've been working on this for X amount of time and I'm finally completely debt free. I got $100,000 left. I got $60,000 left. I saw in the chat here someone said I only got $20,000 left. That is the goal. Your business is designed to provide for your family. Period. Now, you're out there, you're helping others, you're doing the best you can for your client and all that. But I really want you to think about it is okay for you to care about yourself as much as you care about your client. That is totally fine because this has to be profitable for you as well. And it has to be something that you're not losing sleep at night. You're happy with where you're going. And what I don't want to see is that divide happening with our members. I know it's happening nationwide, and it has been for frankly decades in all aspects of life, right? The middle class is disappearing. That's been the case for 20 or 30 years, and probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 presidents. That's been the case. The fact is, you've got to pick a side and you have to decide, am I going to go bigger with what I'm doing, be a little more specific in what I'm trying to do, a little more purposeful in my business, or am I just going to keep skating by and sometimes I stumble across a deal and I'm playing around all day doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because if you do start to play that game with yourself, April, May, and June is going to be freaking huge for you. Only you will make that happen, by the way, but it's going to be huge for you. But it's not about learning more. If you already don't have, like, If you have a complete gym system at home and you have the bench press and you have a treadmill, you're lying to yourself if you think you need an elliptical. And then you start telling all well, the reason, with my knee, because of the bullshit. Well, you want something new and shiny. You don't need an elliptical. You've already got, hell, you have a sidewalk outside. You're lying to yourself and then trying to find all the reasons you need that next new shiny thing. So if you're fat and you have a treadmill at home, we know what the issue is. You have the tools, you're not using them. Well, the same is true in real estate. If you're not like, I'll give the simple examples, and I know I always go to this, but it's the core foundation. Be honest with yourself. Tell me the last time you met with a FSBO. We know there's agents making $20,000, $30,000 a month with this. But if it's not fun, if it's not new, if it's not exciting, you don't want to do it. So, when was the day you had the last Zoom meeting with an attorney that was referring business to you? If it wasn't in the last 7 days, you quite literally aren't trying. You don't need something new. So what I want you to do is today is a really good day for you to get a very, very close, accurate number on the total amount of money that you owe in debt. Now, some of it might be a guess because particularly for those of you, if we're 1099, that means we don't pay our damn taxes a lot of times. So you may not know how much you owe the IRS. It's at least double what you think it is. Listen, penalties, interest, and late fees are more than what you owed in the first place, and you're digging yourself into a deeper hole, and you ain't gonna run forever, and they're gonna catch your ass, and it's gonna be miserable if they chase you instead of you chasing them. You got to get it handled. Same is true for medical debt, for credit card debt, for all of those things. So double whatever you think it is, but I want you to look at your credit card balances. I want you to look at your car payment or your car balance if you do have a car note. I want you to even look at your mortgage. You can decide if you want to include your mortgage or not. For most of us trying to get to independence, they'd say, I've got everything paid off except my mortgage. That's a damn good position to be in, and that might be what you want to do this year. Because for an awful lot of agents, they go about this every day and they're just doing this grind every day that literally, before I mentioned it today, if I'd have asked you, I'd have been like, how long ago was COVID? 2 or 3 years ago. No, damn it. It was 6 years ago. There were so many people that between 2008 and 2012, they took a hit in their business or in their, they owned a couple rental properties or something and they filed foreclosures and, all of that stuff. And in 2020, they were still telling me about how bad that was. You haven't recovered in that amount of time? Oh, I went through a divorce. Oh, wow, that's tough, man. I've been through that too. How long ago was the divorce? 7 years ago. Dude, you got to drink some prune juice and let that shit go. Because it's been 7 years. Like you have to decide you're going to make a change. I'm going to be independent. I'm not going to be owned by debts and all of those things. Maybe you own a bunch of rental properties or you've got other investments that you owe money on or you're upside down on or whatever. How do we get to clean by the 4th of July? If we can make that happen and we know what that big number is, total them up, see about what that number is, and just get a big, fat, ugly, hairy number. We do this in our $100,000 agent challenge, and it always makes such a big difference for those agents. They're like, I didn't even know what the total was. I just knew I owed a whole lot of stuff in a whole lot of areas. And anytime I would get some extra money, I just pay like $500 to each one. Wait a minute. You're paying 30% interest over here, and you're paying 6% interest over here. And you were paying 500 to all of them, why wouldn't you pay 950 to that one and $50 to the 6% deal? Why wouldn't you buy down the high interest rate stuff first? Well, I guess I never really thought. Well, you don't have a real system around how you're going to tackle this debt and attack it and make it go away, because once you get in the black, you're in the red right now. Once you get in the black, you're going to be in a much better position that now you're going to start attacking that number. I got to get to 1 million. I got to get to 2 million. I got to make the kind of money I want to make. You're going to be very strategic in how you're doing it. If you were putting money into a savings account and you know this savings account pays you 30% interest and this one pays you 6% interest, are you going to say, I got $1,000. I'll put 500 in each one? Why would you do that? That'd be stupid. You should have $0 in the 6% one. Why in the world would you be paying? I like to pay extra on my mortgage. You know, if you make one extra payment, it's going to pay it off in 17 years instead of 30. What are you talking about? You'll pay on the credit card for 48 years? So these are the types of things that if you get that big, ugly, hairy number and you know what it is, and then you can sort them by how much that money cost you. I'm paying 30% on this, I'm paying 10% on this, 8% on this, and 3% on the house. Like there are people right now that did buy a house during COVID time, so they got a 3.5% interest rate. They're actually paying extra on their mortgage. Doesn't that sound crazy? They got a credit card balance, but it makes them feel good to pay an extra $200 a month on their mortgage. There are people right now that have a $5,000 credit card balance and they have $2,000 in a savings account, rainy day fund, just in case, emergency funds, just in case. Is that bank account paying you 1%? Or is it costing you 29% of what you have there because you're actually paying it over here on the credit card? Why wouldn't you pay off the credit card and then just use the credit card for an emergency when you need it? Pay off that $2,000. It's going to be there. We're not taught this stuff in school or high school or college or anything else. These aren't the things that we're taught, and you don't really put the mindset towards it. You're just thinking, I gotta sell more houses. I got to close more deals. I got to get as much as I can. And you're always in that starvation mode. But for the agents, you know, we've done this over and over with our challenges. I don't have one coming up or anything, but we've got one we're finishing up right now. And a lot of those agents had no idea they owed that much. They sent me an email. They're like, I can't believe it, man. I owe $217,000. How will I ever close like 20 houses? 6 months? 4 months? What are you talking? That's nothing. It's easy to do if we get a target that we can start to aim at. Right now, you're playing blind archery. You're just shooting anywhere. We need a freaking bullseye. We need to know what that number is.
Hey, it's Greg Luther, and listen, if you don't follow this channel, there's a good chance you're never going to see me again. I consistently put out regular content, and it's extremely helpful for real estate agents to grow their business. I want to keep you up to date on what's working so that you're in the know and you can take action accordingly. So be sure that you like and comment here, but most importantly, make sure you follow, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on anything. I'm here to help you in growing your business, and I'd love to do so. Follow right now.